Welcome to this week's Sight for Wight Talking News for Friday the 7th of May 2021.
This is Alison reading an article from the Ireland Echo. Funerals will not be limited to 30 people from the 17th of May, a month earlier than expected. The government has announced that restrictions on the number of people attending funerals will be lifted on the 17th of May, a month earlier than expected. Currently, only 30 mourners are permitted to attend funerals at churches and crematoria across England, including here on the Isle of Wight. However, that number will be lifted in less than 2 weeks' time, as long as the venue is COVID compliant. It was initially planned that the restrictions on numbers would be lifted in the fourth step in the unlocking from lockdown. But with infections and hospitalisations plummeting, Boris Johnson has taken the decision to bring forward the change to step 3, and now faces pressure to make changes to other aspects of everyday life. Limits for other life or commemorative events, such as weddings and wakes, are expected to remain as set out in the roadmap. Communities Secretary Robert Jenrick MP has said, "The British people have made huge sacrifices throughout the pandemic to protect the NHS and save lives, and nowhere is that more apparent than in the deeply painful restrictions on the numbers attending funerals. Losing a loved one has been incredibly hard during the pandemic, and I am pleased we are now in a position, thanks to everyone's continued efforts and the rollout of the vaccine, to remove these limits and allow more friends and family to come together and pay their respects. I look forward to working with faith leaders responsible for places of worship and those who manage venues such as funeral homes to introduce the new arrangements in a way that continues to keep people safe."
This is Chris reading an article from the Isle of Wight Observer. Dementia drugs given without diagnosis rises 12% in a year. Dementia patients on the island are still being prescribed antipsychotic drugs despite not being diagnosed with psychosis. More than 10 years ago, the Department of Health made moves to reduce the inappropriate prescriptions after finding they contributed to around 1,800 deaths every year. Official NHS figures show that in 2019, in a 6-week period to February the 28th, 90 out of 112 dementia patients receiving the drugs had not been diagnosed with psychosis. In the same period last year, the figures were 101 out of 125 patients, a 12% increase. The drugs can calm agitated patients, but also increase the risk of strokes and accelerate dementia symptoms. Alison Smith, Managing Director of the Hampshire, Southampton and Isle of Wight Clinical Commissioning Group, said the body ensured the drugs were only prescribed to patients who need them. She said, "Supporting people living with dementia can be complex, and treatment is based on the individual's needs and in line with either advanced wishes of the patient or those of their carers or families. Antipsychotic medication is usually prescribed to patients after other methods have been considered, such as adapting surroundings to a person's needs, removing distressing factors, or, if physical pain is leading to agitation. If a patient still cannot be calmed, antipsychotic drugs may be given if the benefits outweigh the risks and in line with national guidance." The Alzheimer's Society, a dementia charity, said it was extremely concerned about the rise in the number of prescriptions across the country during the COVID pandemic and is calling for an urgent government review into the figures.
Women's professional cricket returns to the Isle of Wight from Isle of Wight Radio. Women's professional cricket returned to the Isle of Wight over the weekend. The Southern Vipers came to New Close on May Day, but play was kept behind closed doors. The match provided 24 of the best women cricketers in the south of England with some excellent match practice on a well-prepared pitch and outfield, at a ground blessed with quality facilities that stemmed from the vision and investment of the late Brian Gardner. The intra-squad game featured the Southern Vipers Senior 11, playing under the name Cobras, taking on their colleagues of the Vipers Academy 11, playing as the Pythons. The 24-player group was preparing for the 50-over ECB Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy, a competition which they won last year and which starts later in the month. The squad is selected from players from the Hampshire and Sussex first-class counties and a number of adjacent minor counties. The teams were captained by two of England's most gifted young women cricketers, Georgia Adams and Danny Wight. Georgia won the toss for the Cobras and opened the batting, scoring 25 towards her team's total of 199 for 8 off their allocated 40 overs. England international Georgia Elwes top-scored with 58. In reply, Danny Wight led the Pythons' innings from the front, opening the batting but falling cheaply for 7 to catch taken by her counterpart Adams. The Pythons' replay was soon revived with an innings of 56 by Charlie Dean, but as wickets fell, the run chased slow, and when the last wicket fell at 164, it meant the Cobras had won by 35 runs. Charlotte Edwards, CBE, the former England captain, has been recently elected Professional Cricketers Association president and is head coach of the Vipers. After a winning match innings in a demonstration for the 100 at Lord's earlier in the week, she admitted to being more comfortable in the coaching role for her day at New Close. Her colleague and Vipers manager Adam Carty, and the broader title of ECB Regional Women's Cricket Director, he shared Charlotte's impression of the New Close pitch prepared by Andy Butler, and the two of them considered it to be excellently prepared and ideal for the early season. Charlotte and Adam gave video interviews to New Close trustee Hugh Griffiths, as did Georgia Adams, and Kate Barton, chair of the Isle of Wight Cricket Board. From all directions, the message continues to come across of New Close being one of the best grounds of the south of England outside the Test and first-class county grounds. Two New Close Cricket Club members assisting on the day were Susie Sheldon, Isle of Wight Lord Lieutenant, and David Pratt, who's leading the project to establish a new cricket charity on the island to raise funds for community cricket. Both agreed that once crowds can gather at sporting and social events, there's much that can be done locally to boost participation in cricket in particular and in sport in general. Everyone involved at New Close hopes that the 2022 season will see the Vipers return to New Close in a competitive fixture to complement a Hampshire men's first match.
This is Michael reading an article from Island Echo. Knighton Nightmare Duathlon marks the return of Wight Tri. After several months of lockdown with lots of indoor training but no formal events, Wight Tri was able to resume their 2020 to 2021 Winter Duathlon series, with the second in the series, the Knighton Nightmare Duathlon, with the transition set in the grounds of the Knighton Football Club. 20 members took part under strict BTF and COVID-19 restrictions. Organised by the Wight Tri COVID-19 coordinator, Kevin Winchcombe. The event is not for the faint-hearted, with both the run and bike courses taking in very hilly terrain. The competitors got the choice of a 2.16 kilometre or a 3.7 kilometre run, and either one of 2 laps of the 13 kilometre cycle route. The runs headed up from the football grounds to the Pepperpot Monument, with the short run turning just over halfway up. The longer run took the runners around the Pepperpot to the finish, with a long descent back to the transition. The circular 13-kilometre cycle route took in the villages of Knighton, Brearley, Chale, and then the long climb up Blackgang before descending down into Knighton to transition or for the second lap. First in the nominated event was junior member Caitlin Wilson, who completed the short run, bike short run route in a very swift 54 minutes, 0.55 seconds. Only 5 seconds off her nominated time of 55 minutes. She was also the fastest on the course. Second was Liz Dunlop, 9 seconds outside her nominated time. Liz completed the long runs and bike course in 1 hour, 50 minutes and 9 seconds. Dave Dent was third, completing the long courses in 1 hour, 27 minutes, 21 seconds, 21 seconds outside his nominated time. New member Henry Farrell was the fastest male on the long course in 1 hour, 18 minutes and 19 seconds, with Nina French the fastest female in 1 hour, 46 minutes, 34 seconds. Wight Tri also held their overdue 2020 Wight Tri Club Awards ceremony, with the following trophies awarded by the Wight Tri chairman, Nick Kenny. Wight Tri Female Cross-Country Championship, Mary Norman. Wight Tri Male Cross-Country Championship, Neil Cooper. Wight Tri Winter Duathlon Series Award, Craig Wilson. Wight Tri Club Triathlon Championship, Craig Wilson. Wight Tri would like to thank the Knighton Football Club for the use of their grounds, and also Russ Meller of Cut Laser Cut for the duathlon trophies given out to all competitors. The next duathlon in the series is the Colwell Corker on Sunday the 16th of May 2021. More information will be available from the Wight Tri Facebook page.
This is Patrina reading an article from Island Echo. Isle of Wight roads, the quietest they have been in 27 years, as 22% fewer miles driven during 2020. It will come as no surprise that official figures from the Department of Transport have revealed that almost 22% fewer miles were driven on the Isle of Wight last year, compared to 2019. In the year of the coronavirus pandemic, the number of miles clocked up across the island fell from 435 million to 340 million, a drop of 21.8%. It means that the Isle of Wight roads were the quietest they've been in 27 years. Mileage carried out by car drivers, including taxis, fell by 24% from 352 million to 267 million, whilst heavy goods traffic fell by just 15%, from 7 million to 6 million. Light commercial traffic clocked up 65 million miles in 2019, but last year that fell by nearly 11% to 58 million. The figures reveal that the Isle of Wight has seen significant growth in the number of miles being driven in recent years. Between 2009 and 2019, just a 10-year period, the mileage racked up by cars alone increased by 12.8%, whilst the overall mileage went up by 12.4%. Over a 20-year period, the total mileage has soared 16.6%, although that means between 1999 and 2009 mileage crept up by 3.75%. But in the following 10 years, between 2009 and 2019, shot up by 12.4%, more than 3 times the rate of growth in the previous decade.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from Isle of Wight Radio, headlined, Get Checked. A plea to Isle of Wight men as prostate cancer figures are revealed. Isle of Wight men are being urged to get checked for prostate cancer, as figures reveal more than 300 are diagnosed with the illness each year on the island. The Isle of Wight Prostate Cancer Support Group says nationally, a man dies every 45 minutes from the illness. This year marks 10 years since the group was formed to offer help to those diagnosed. The service was set up by men who were travelling to and from the island for treatment. Every year, the group offers PSA testing, blood tests which can detect cancerous tissue in your prostate. Speaking to Isle of Wight Radio, Vice Chairman Tony Wheatley said, "Early diagnosis is the key. As we have learned, you don't always get symptoms with prostate cancer. Once you get past the age of 45, particularly if there is a history of it in the family, you should get regular PSA testing. If you're aged over 50, your reading shouldn't be over 3. If you're aged over 60, it shouldn't be over 4. If you're aged over 70, it shouldn't be more than 5. If it is, then it shows there is something not quite right with your prostate. It might not be prostate cancer, it could be a urinary infection, but it's good to rule out prostate cancer." Tony says 1 in 7 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. It kills more men than any other cancer in the UK. According to Tony, the Isle of Wight has one of the highest rates of diagnosis in the country. Peter Hunt, who was a founder of the support group, passed away last year after a battle with the illness. Tony said it's a stark reminder. "It was a very, very, very sad loss for us. We did attend the funeral, but of course there were restrictions in place because of the pandemic. We did have 3 trustees there to give Peter a good send-off. He was an invaluable member of the group. There are 4 PSA testing events happening on the island this year. 1 will be held in Cowes, 1 in Totland, and 2 in Ryde. The first will be happening at Cowes Masonic Centre on May the 22nd. You can find out how to book on the group's Facebook page or their website."
This is Susan reading from the Isle of Wight Observer. Plans in place to celebrate the life of Arthur Fox. Plans are in place to celebrate the life of Cowes boat builder Arthur Fox, who died in 1972 at the age of 74. Events to be held next August 2022 include a regatta for all Arthur crafts, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for owners of Arthur-designed boats to compete against each other. Racing will be 100% Arthur Fox designed dinghies, keelboats and classic boats, with some racing areas along the shore to attract spectators. The Royal London Yacht Club has been selected to organise the sailing, as Arthur was a stalwart of the club and, as chairman of the sailing committee, was instrumental in the resurgence of sailing after the Second World War. The Classic Boat Museum in East Cowes is also organising a series of events including seminars and an exhibition of Arthur's various dinghies. The sailing enthusiast often raced with Prince Philip and taught a young Prince Charles to sail in Cowes. He is also credited with coming up with the idea in the 1950s of the annual Brambles cricket match, held on a sandbank in the middle of the Solent. The Arthur Fox celebrations will be followed by the Flying 15 European Championships, organised by the Cowes Corinthian Yacht Club, from August the 20th to the 26th next year, along with various off-the-water tours and activities. Evening social events have been planned for participants, their families and Arthur enthusiasts. This is Alison reading an article from the Isle of Wight Radio. Dredging starts at Isle of Wight's Newport Harbour. A major programme to dredge Newport Harbour is getting underway on Thursday. Thousands of tons of silt are being removed from the bed of the River Medina to increase the depth of the navigable channel. Dredgers have returned to the harbour for the first time since the 1970s as part of the £370,000 project. The 1988 and 2021 Harbour Revision Order gives the Isle of Wight Council the powers to dredge. The local authority has secured a licence to allow the disposal of the material to an approved location at sea. While the harbour will remain open during the works, a local notice to mariners will be issued to advise harbour users. Dan Jenkins, Director of Jenkins Marine, who is carrying out the work, added, "We are delighted to be working with the Isle of Wight Council to undertake the dredging works and recognise this is an important step in the regeneration of the harbour."
This is Michael reading an article from On the Wight. Cowes resident praised for dedication and commitment after 40 years of service. Having worked for the company for 40 years, John Edwards was praised for his dedication and commitment. Cowes resident John Edwards retired last week after over 4 decades of working at Yokogawa Marex. John joined what was then Marex Limited on the 9th of March 1981 after serving in the Royal Navy as an electronics technician. Working at Yokogawa Marex, John enjoyed the travelling side, working on various projects from Borneo to Alaska, Spain and Norway, and even in Freshwater Bay for data buoys trials. He finished his career as a project manager, working on solutions that help companies run safer and more efficient operations across the globe. Wayne Matthews, Yokogawa Marex Divisional Director, said, "John has been a fantastic servant to Yokogawa and has shown dedication and commitment throughout his career. On behalf of everyone at Yokogawa Marex, we wish him all the best in his retirement." On his last working day, John was presented with gifts and a card from his fellow colleagues, with a virtual retirement party over Teams. His well-earned retirement allows him more time for some such needed rest and relaxation, spending more time with his family and tackling some DIY projects at home.
This is Susan reading from the Isle of Wight Observer. A year on the COVID front line. We have laughed and cried, but staff have worked hard in an ever-changing COVID environment. Site manager of the drive-through COVID test centre on the island, Victoria Bamford, has shared what the past 12 months on the front line have been like. In April last year, the island's drive-through testing centre was set up at Medina Leisure Centre to help test the increasing number of people who potentially had the virus. Since May 2020, more than 27,000 people have gone through the site, with the team testing 3,013 people in their busiest week. The Army had set up the testing site, but had been overwhelmed by the initial number of people who required testing, following a panic from the public as no one really knew what to do. Previously, a community nursery nurse whose role ground to a halt at the start of the pandemic, Victoria said she felt helpless before she was called to work at the site on its second day, but was relieved to start as she felt like she was making a difference. She said suddenly to stand on the front line in full PPE was daunting, but equally an adrenaline rush. My first day was very wet. We had rain and hailstorms for most of the day, with just an army marquee for shelter. They were used to such conditions, so we felt we needed to step up. In the first few days, when Victoria was at the test site, they were very busy with more than 200 people a day. They also ensured that supporting care homes acted as the intermediary, collecting tests and taking them to St Mary's Hospital. It is not just care homes the site has supported, but local businesses, health professionals, and even the film crew who were on the island last year, shooting The Beast Must Die. Despite quietening down over the summer, a rise in cases in November saw the centre, which had then been moved to New Close Cricket Ground, become a hive of activity, with Victoria having to think on her feet to cope with demand as testing slots increased from 124 to 336 a day. During the rapid spike in January, the team were testing 557 people a day and saw a mobile testing team sent to support them. Although the team's job is extremely serious, they have been able to find the funny side in things more often than not. Hanging on to the leg of a marquee with the army in a hailstorm, someone turning up with their home phone to sign in, thinking it would work, broken down cars which needed bump starting, and a set of flying false teeth during a throat swab. The staff have also celebrated special moments together during the unprecedented times, including a 40th, a 70th, and soon to be 50th birthdays, as well as dressing up a colleague in a veil on the day they should have had their wedding. Currently, raising spirits and symbolising hope, rainbows painted by island school children are decorating the site. Victoria said she had met some lovely people at the site, interacting with some who had had no contact with anyone else after losing a relative or with a loved one still in hospital. She said they had laughed with us and cried with us, but grateful for the job we were doing. I commend all the staff in the Trust for working so hard in the most challenging of years. I would like to thank everyone who has been part of the COVID test site for their hard work and commitment. Our recent award of Isle of Wight NHS COVID Team of the Year is a testament of the input from everyone who has made it work.
Plans for popular Isle of Wight beach to deter jet skis from Isle of Wight Radio. Iona. A popular Isle of Wight beach could see buoys installed this summer in a bid to deter jet skis. In an application submitted by Freshwater Parish Council, the authority is hoping to install a 600-metre stretch of buoys along Colwell Bay, starting near Colwell Chine Road and going up to Bramble Chine. The buoy line will go out as far as 100 metres but remain on the freshwater side of the Totland and freshwater boundary, which starts in the bay. Last summer saw a rise in complaints of antisocial behaviour on the water, including jet ski use, which saw Hampshire Police's Marine Support Unit launch Operation Wavebreaker to address the issues. Now, in planning documents, the Parish Council says it wishes to deter powered crafts like jet skis and rigid inflatable boats from entering the area of water which proves popular with islanders and tourists during the summer months to better the experience of swimmers. Planning agents Plan Research for the application said safety issues have been noted by the Parish Council on a regular basis, particularly with powered craft going to the facilities along the bay at the same time of year that families are using the shallow waters. To make the beach as safe as possible, the Parish Council is intending to install the buoys in time for the 2021 tourist season and is asking for the application to be granted as soon as possible. The beach is within the Colwell Bay site of specific scientific interest and within a marine conservation zone. But documents say the safety buoys would be installed with minimum impact on biodiversity. To view the application in full, you can do it on the Council's planning portal, and comments will be accepted until May the 28th. Earlier this year, the Isle of Wight Council unanimously approved a beach management strategy framework, which, among other actions, would look at other authorities and see whether it is feasible to implement an island-wide policy on personal watercraft. Subject to funding, it was also recommended to bring forward the installation of safety marker buoys.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from Isle of Wight Radio, headlined Plans for Tattoo Studio Submitted in the Heart of Cowes. A tattoo studio could be coming to the Heart of Cowes. Applicant Chris Norris, along with 2 other artists, is proposing to open the Alchemy Arts Club on Cowes High Street at the former Key 4 shop, with a sincere hope to establish a long-term business in the centre of town. The property has been empty for nearly 2 years now, with the ladies' clothes shop closing in August 2019. Planning documents submitted by Mr Norris say they would be obliged by the lease to ensure the appearance of the property would be in keeping with the Cowes aesthetic, and look to create a smart, minimal and classic exterior. To update the shop, the outside would be black with gold lettering and detailing but display no outward signs of tattooing, and have the general look of an art studio or gallery. A frosted glass partition wall would be installed towards the front of the shop, separating the waiting area from the studio. The 3 fully qualified and licensed artists have a combined experience of 24 years and have said they have built a regular and reliable client base, as well as tattooing, with work done through appointment only Monday to Saturday, 9 AM to 6 PM. The mixed media artists intend to sell prints from the studio as well. Documents also say the premises would be kept sanitary due to the nature of the work, and all cleanliness and safety regulations will, of course, be adhered to. To view the proposals, which have a number of 21/00807/FUL, you can visit the Isle of Wight's Council Planning Register. Comments will be accepted until May the 28th.
This is Patrina reading from Island Echo. Eco-wellness resort with focus on sustainable living planned for the West Wight. Plans for a new eco-wellness woodland resort near Yarmouth are underway. The resort will be centred on sustainable living, nature and wellness in a new development with plans for tree houses, tiny houses and high-end safari tents. The location will feature landscaped areas where guests and visitors can enjoy a truly immersive experience. From the moment guests arrive, they will be taken on a landscape journey where connectivity to nature and the feeling of tranquility will begin. The resort will also feature a well-being area including a spa, saunas, and in partnership with the resort, Liz Earle will offer their treatments and products. Behind the business is Alan Short and Simon Hurst, who run an island joinery company, Acorn Interiors, and Tanya Luperner, who from TML Creative, an interior architect and design company. Together, the team have successfully completed interior fit-outs of local hospitality projects, including the George and the Terrace, and leisure projects such as the new facilities at Yarmouth Harbour. Using local suppliers and trades, this development will have many employment opportunities when the resort opens, which will be fantastic for the economy on the island. The team have already approached many local companies who share a similar sustainability ethos to partner and work together. Alan Short said, "We are keen to include local education as this is a fantastic location for forest schools, as well as adult classes such as woodworking, yoga classes, willow weaving and literary groups. The Woodlands has a calming atmosphere and will be a great inspiration for creative minds and those wishing to connect to nature as a retreat." Much work has been evolving over the last 2 years in the background, liaising with local ecologists and arboriculturists to create a woodland management plan, and there are also plans for further planting of native species and creating additional new habitats that encourage wildlife. Tanya explains, the woodland resort will be an incredible experience for guests who are looking to escape the everyday hustle and bustle, and with our plans to make it as fully sustainable as possible, this will be unlike anything else the UK has to offer. Tanya explained, the resort will provide a meaningful holiday experience with a very low carbon footprint and with guests being able to enjoy a relaxing atmosphere, stunning scenery, great design and beautiful features such as natural biopools, great food and fantastic accommodation. The project will soon be submitting to planning. For more information about the project, visit www.thewoodlandlandsresort.co.uk.
This is Alison reading an article from On the Wight. Isle of Wight Ferry Company shares timetable outlook for the rest of the year. In an effort to give its customers as much information as possible, Red Funnel is sharing its outlook on ferry timetables for the foreseeable future. Based on the planned easing of national restrictions expected to take effect on or after the 17th of May, including the anticipated reopening of hotels, indoor hospitality, leisure and attractions, the operator will closely monitor demand for evening Redjet services, with a view to extend the current timetable later into the evening. Regarding the vehicle ferry service, the operator's timetable has been established to offer maximum availability at peak times, with only minor changes from previous full summer schedules. Red Funnel is confident that the published timetable meets capacity requirements, with good choice and availability for departure times, and, as a result, is currently anticipating that its vehicle ferry timetable will run as planned until the winter timetable takes effect on the 2nd of November. Red Funnel remains committed to adding further sailings and increasing its service schedules as soon as they can be delivered in a sustainable and viable way. The company endeavours to strike a balance between offering multiple options and ensuring availability to customers, while also ensuring it is operating efficiently to maintain resilience and mitigate the risks associated with the pandemic. Fran Collins, CEO of Red Funnel, commented, "We appreciate our customers want as much information as possible to be able to plan their future travel, especially as the nation emerges carefully from lockdown. And we want to provide as much clarity as possible on our services and share our outlook as best we can. We're delighted that we've been able to increase our timetable in line with demand, but we continue to monitor requirements very closely. We endeavour to run a timetable that meets the needs of the vast majority of our customers, but we regret that in some cases our timetables may not meet the preference of some travellers. For this, we're very sorry, and I encourage anyone in this situation to get in touch and share their experience and feedback with us." Red Funnel's current vehicle ferry timetable reflects its two-boat service, whilst Red Falcon is undergoing routine maintenance, including the installation of a new engine crankshaft. The operator's three-boat service will resume on the 13th of May. The Redjet is currently running 12 daily crossings from each side of the Solent, Monday to Friday, with 11 crossings each way on weekends. For current ferry timetable information, see the website.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from On the Wight, headlined "April the coldest since 1922", as well as one of the driest on record. While sitting in the warm sun looking down on Ventnor Beach this afternoon, that was Friday, we received word of hail and sleet in Yarmouth. So it's not surprising to receive news from the Met Office that was the coldest April since 1922. They say, April 2021 had the lowest average minimum temperatures for April in the UK since 1922, as air frost and clear conditions combined for a frost-laden chilly month despite long hours of sunshine. Early provisional figures from the Met Office's National Climate Information Centre indicate that April had the third lowest average UK minimum temperature for the month since records began in 1884, while Wales, Scotland and England all reported their figures in the top 5 lowest ever recorded. Average daily maximum temperatures were also below normal, but not by as much as the minimum temperatures. They went on to say, it had already been reported that April had seen its highest level of air frost in 60 years, with an average of 13 days of air frost topping the previous record figure of 11 days in 1970. Records for air frost go back to 1960. This number of air frosts is more typical for December, January or February, whereas the average number of air frosts in April is 5 days. For gardeners and growers, there were also a record high number of ground frosts, with 22 days this month compared to an average of 12 days. As well as colder temperatures in some places, April 2021 will be remembered as being a dry month for many places, as a small showery spell in the last week of the month did little to offset the long dry spells for many, and it will be one of the driest Aprils on record. The dry and frosty conditions have provided challenges for the country's gardeners, according to the chief horticulturalist at the Royal Horticultural Society, Guy Barter. He said, considerable damage has been experienced in many gardens, with flowers such as camellia and magnolias being scorched. Watering before sowing and after planting are now necessary, but after such a wet autumn and winter, there is plenty of water lower down in the soil that established plants can access. Growers are being advised to keep tender plants inside for now, or to cover with cloches or horticultural fleece if they do need to go out, as there remains a risk of frost ahead for many.
Hello, this is Lisa, CEO of Site for Wight, welcoming you to this week's Talking News. This week I have spent playing with Alexa. Our new Alexa skill is due to go live next week in preparation for the planned launch on the 21st of May. The skill includes our weekly Talking News, our bi-monthly newsletter, notices, messages from the Isle of Wight Against Scams Partnership, the IWASP scams, details about our team and the trustees. We are testing it through Alexa, Google and the telephone so that we are able to offer access to as many people as possible. We are very excited about the ability to update this on a daily basis. We will be writing to every member next week detailing how to use the skill and how to access it. We are hoping you're all staying safe. With kind wishes, Lisa.
Skip News week commencing Monday 10th of May. Yarmouth area, On the Rocks, Bridge Road. Newport area, 7 Hillside. Ryde area, 75 High Street. 7 Cothy Way, 7 Swanmore Road. Haven Street, 2 Wootton View Main Road. Ventnor area, South Bank Park Avenue. East Cowes area, 60 Clarence Road. 36 Yarbough Road, Freshwater, 1 Court Road. Scaffolding news. Ryde area, 51 George Street, 183 High Street, 13 Esplanade, Ward Associates 39 Union Street. Newport area, Guildhall High Street, Halifax High Street, H. Samuels 35 High Street, Watson, Bull & Porter, 31 High Street, The Old Mill, St Cross Lane. Sandown area, Trouville Hotel, Sandown Esplanade. Cowes area, 31 Mill Hill Road, 72 High Street, Toby's of Cowes, 9 High Street, 5 Birmingham Road, 5 Castle Road. Yarmouth area, Grove Cottage, St James Street. Shanklin area, 77 Regent Street. Ventnor area, Mere Harbour Road, 28A Pier Street, Chale, Blythe Cottage, Blythe Chute, Chale. Seaview, the Anchorage Seafield Road, Benbridge, Elm Cottage, Kings Road.
Sight for Wight would like to thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Talking News. We would also like to thank our volunteers for reading, and a particular thank you to the Isle of Wight County Press, Isle of Wight Observer, On the Wight, Island Echo, Isle of Wight Radio, and a special thank you to Vectis Radio.